instrument is we're taking that very seriously in Egypt. We're looking at Islamic finance, particularly on the government side, as a key enabler for accessing financial markets and diversifying our funding to our development programs. We've issued a sovereign sukuk that has been very well received by the market and relatively performing quite well compared to other funding instruments that the government is leveraging. But it's also been meant to give a signal as a benchmark to encourage the private sector to leverage the sukuk market. Now, how can we take this up to scale? So I think as the colleagues have hinted to nicely and very rightfully, I think initially working together on the regulatory framework, recognizing and harmonizing what the principles are, streamlining documentation when it comes to Sharia compliant transactions, harmonizing Sharia opinions. I think we keep emphasizing these messages across time, and I recall I wrote several research papers on Islamic finance back early in my development finance career, and we've been working through this consistently. But let me also give the due respect and credit to the Islamic Development Bank for working very closely with member countries on that, but not even member countries. I suppose that there are many asks for technical assistance and support and knowledge exchange that goes even beyond member countries, given the reliability of this financing mechanism. So this regulatory harmonization is really critical. Now, we take it again to building institutional capacity and strengthening the institutional capacity, and this is where working with private financial institutions and encouraging them to adopt these instruments, doing several rounds of learning by doing. That is another critical element to enable the financial institutions not only to facilitate Islamic finance Sharia compliant transactions, but also through learning by doing, they will be able to price risk right. And that is another advantage that we need to leverage and unlock for Sharia compliant financing and Islamic financing, is to price the risk right. And the virtues of risk sharing and asset-based financing can give you this enabling solution, but it has to be done practically. Because if a financial instrument or a financial product is not really familiarized with the front lines of financial institutions, it becomes very tough to price the risk. And I guess, so building that institutional capacity is really critical, and that's on the supply side. Then on the demand side, another critical element is the financial literacy about the financial products on the demand side for the SMEs and for individuals. And now with the scale up of social media and the scale up of artificial intelligence and all these bots that can help answer questions, so democratizing technology for that purpose and leveraging technology is critical to achieve both building institutional capacity and also scaling up financial literacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So harmonization and standardizations, and we can do it through the strong partnership among our countries, and we can use ICFC and ISDB group as a platform which can help our countries to achieve it. So, Your Excellency, Engineer Deep, could you please share, I think you already have it, and our colleagues from Azerbaijan already mentioned some of the examples, but maybe more examples, practical examples from Central Asia or Azerbaijan, where ITFC interventions have supported the regional connectivity and promotion of Islamic finance.
Thank you for the question. Of course, as usual, it's all of the above. This region, when we talk about Central Asia and Azerbaijan, is not just known for its natural beauty and its history and its food, but more than anything, maybe for its trade. It's at the crossroads, strategically positioned between Asia, between Europe, and between the wider Islamic world. And as this strategic position becomes more and more important for trade corridors, what we aspire to, we're not going to close the gap, but what we aspire to is to support countries, okay, in turning this strategic natural position into real economic advantage opportunities and bankable projects. Again, I don't want to overblow the scale of what we do, but we do play a relative role, and we'd like to always increase it. In terms of overall support, trade finance, first of all, to the region, To date, we talked about maybe $3 billion of trade finance approvals for the overall region, and most of it has gone, unlike, I talked earlier about maybe energy, but in this region, which is energy rich overall, Azerbaijan, I remember a few years ago in my previous life, we visited the first oil well, not far away from this place, and I encourage you to go and visit it. For energy isn't the question, but it's more food and, as my colleagues mentioned, SMEs, the private sector and SMEs, who usually find it difficult to access, even in good times, let alone in bad times, to access capital and to access markets for their exports if they're exporting. We work with these SMEs and on capacity building and on helping them turn these opportunities and aspirations into bankable projects, which is the educational part of it. But we also connect them to international markets. This is the role we play for SMEs. We do have, and I'm going to have to make sure I get the acronyms right, but a good example is we laid the foundations for greater regional integration initiatives, and something that we have launched a couple of years ago. It's still in its inception, I would say, but it's growing quickly, is the TCCA Plus program. So this is the Trade Connect Central Asia Plus, and the plus is for Azerbaijan. In this regard, we're working with governments, regional institutions, and partners, including the UN ISCAP, that's the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, supporting measures that make trade easier, more efficient, and more connected. This is a good example, and here the focus is on digitalization and stronger cooperation among the regions and the countries in the region and beyond.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think we need more engagement from what I see from our government institutions from Central Asia to be involved in all these excellent programs that you already shared. Mr. Hakimov, Uzbekistan just recently adopted a new regulation allowing to open Islamic bank as well as Islamic window. So first of all, my congratulations to Uzbekistan for this great achievement. So based on your and Uzbekistan's experience, what are the practical requirements for local banks to scale Islamic trade finance solutions, particularly in terms of product development, institutional capacity, risk management, and client awareness?
Thank you very much. Indeed, it was a long-awaited process, and finally, the government of Uzbekistan adopted the law on Islamic banking. And commercial banks are very much excited to, let's say, set up an Islamic window. But we have to understand one thing, that boosting, let's say, Islamic finance is not about money. It's basically setting up an infrastructure. Infrastructure is settled around, let's say, products. You mentioned that products need to be designed, first of all, basing on requirement of SMEs, whether it's export, import, or let's say other kind of facilities. Second important element is that risk management in Islamic banking is set up on a different level. It's not like in conventional banking, but it is there, and it should be, let's say, respected and properly managed. Compliance principles should be, and other, let's say, aspects should be regarded as well. But more challenging part is, let's say, setting up proper teams, training them, who will be eventually delivering, let's say, increasing awareness of population on the Islamic products. Because businesses, especially I can say about Uzbekistan, they are excited about Islamic product, but if you come and talk to them, they have very little understanding how the product works, And that is, I think, challenging task for the commercial banks, those who are working towards establishing Islamic window, to, let's say, explain them the details, so particular elements, how the products or the business should be developed in order to, let's say, fit to, let's say, Sharia compliance, But end of the day, all these things needs to be, let's say, regarded from the one main point that SMEs, have to focus not only on, let's say, development, but they have to focus on, let's say, community development, More jobs should be developed, They have to integrate to the global economy, by that element. And Islamic products or Islamic financing can be the bridge for them, to achieve better or, let's say, prosperous growth.
Thank you a lot. Once again, we are talking about awareness, and we see the same in Kazakhstan. People sometimes still think that Islamic finance is about charity. So that's why we need this regional connectivity, because all of us, we have the same challenges, and I think we need to work closely together, and I'm talking about Central Asia and Azerbaijan, in order to face this issue and to increase the understanding on Islamic finance, not only for population, but also for the government sometimes for the financial institutions. So now let's move to Dr. Husseinov. So what lessons from other regional markets, including Central Asia and other OIC countries, could be relevant for Azerbaijan, as right now Azerbaijan explores Islamic trade finance and broader alternative finance solutions?
Thanks again, Madina. Every year we attend Islamic Development Bank annual meeting, and every year we conduct our Central Asian banks. We always discuss and sharing experience with Uzbekistan banks and Kazakhstan banks. The economy is similar like Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. They're more developed Islamic banking infrastructure and tools. In our country, the small and medium-sized development agency, which is called COBIA, operates under Ministry of Economy. They also did a lot of things to promote Islamic financing tools in a country. They organized the first Islamic forum for Islamic conference in Azerbaijan. And every 3 months or every 2 months, they provided seminars and trainings to get awareness of Islamic financing tools in our country. And another, as my colleague Umidjan said, that the infrastructure is very important to develop and sell this kind of alternative financing product like Islamic finance, Murabaha, Mudaraba, Izara. As I said in my previous speech, Central Bank of Azerbaijan supports alternative finance tools in Azerbaijan. As I said, they launched a regulatory sandbox, or every commercial bank in Azerbaijan can send their Islamic product and another alternative financing product to Central Bank of Azerbaijan and get approved. Another thing I said that COBIA, which operates under the Ministry of Economics, did a lot of things. And another interesting thing is there are alternative banking board which operates under Azerbaijan Bank Association. If some banks would like to issue new innovative solutions, innovative products, also alternative financing products, such as Islamic bank financing products, they can ask from the alternative banking board. It is like Sharia board, and they can expertise, give a lot of experience to the banks. I can say that every year we connected with Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan banks and share experience and get a lot of things from our border countries. And also Islamic Development Bank and its subsidiaries, they play very important role to develop and promote Islamic financing in our country. There are 3 banks which applies Islamic financing tools in Azerbaijan with IDBs and ITFCs and ICDs supporting. I would like again thanks to Islamic Development Bank and its subsidiaries to support Islamic financing tool in our country. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. So let me conclude our session with one final question to all panelists. So what is the one partnership, initiative, or maybe action can accelerate the regional trade connectivity and support greater participation of businesses in cross-border trades over the, let's say, next 5 years? So, Your Excellency, if I can start.
Well, thank you, appreciate it. And it's an excellent question, being pragmatic and then shifting gears from theory into practice. I think at the time where we're in right now, hopefully contemplating shifting gears from the resilience jargon to recovery and takeoff jargon, one critical element is building bridges of trust between financial institutions, between private sector players, because they are the ones who will drive recovery and will make it quick. The more you build trust, the more or the faster the recovery. And what we need to work on as an initiative here is bridging the gap between perceived risk and realized risk, right? And we can only do this by one, looking into bankable opportunities, making them available, and communicating quite clearly on the demand side, and marrying this with the willingness of MDBs. And at the forefront, Islamic Development Bank has been always known to abandon the risk-averse culture into being pragmatic when it comes to risk-taking, calculated risk-taking, by virtue also of what Islamic finance is inherently about, with risk-sharing and asset-based financing, and which take us to the jargon in the street also is blended finance, basically blending risk down, managing risk to build that bridge of trust. In addition to this, the resilience, shifting from resilience to recovery would require also focusing more on enabling the small and medium enterprises. And I guess at the early stage would be the medium ones who are more resilient, will gain that trust quickly, build that trust quickly, and then trickling down to small enterprises to galvanize intra-regional trade, while working on the usual suspects of trade harmonization and facilitating and enabling trade corridors. And among the common factor in all of this is the work that ITFC has been leading, and actually is leading by example to other MDBs on various fronts. But in addition to that pragmatic approach to finance, I guess also, or most importantly on the Islamic Development Group level, is harmonizing the vision for development, is that together we can grow. And harmonizing that vision for development across countries, that not a single country can do it alone. It has to be a collaboration, and it has to be in partnership. So strengthening this intra-regional partnership will only happen through a strong convening power, and I guess you cannot have it more evident than what we can see IDB is doing, ISDB is doing in our convention today. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Engineer Deep, your thoughts.
So definitely, I mean, we touched on some of the challenges here, and you know, the challenges are too complex and too large for any one institute or any one government to be able to tackle alone. Actually, even combined, I mean, it's challenging enough, and that's in normal times, let alone in times of high uncertainty. And therefore, partnership doesn't become, you know, an option. It's more of really a central part of our, in the case of ITFC, let me say, of our business model. Now, we've been working, and we will continue to work with government agencies, with development institutes, with financial institutes, and with the private sector. And it's, as His Excellency just mentioned, it's all about building confidence. We're able in ITFC to mobilize and deploy huge amounts through working with, say, the banking community around the world. But this doesn't come overnight. You know, it has to be tested. They have to make sure that we're fair and we're transparent, and that we're sharing, if you will, the margins with them in a good way, and that we're fair to the countries. And also, all it takes is, you know, a little bit of betraying this trust on people like to talk about positives, not negatives, but it's really very, very, very demanding. But we continue to live up to it. But I also wanted to say that something that resonated here and resonated in my previous session is the lack of awareness of Islamic finance. I think something falls upon us all. We need to be doing much more. You mentioned that people think of it as, charity. And I was speaking with some of my colleagues yesterday. I say people think of it as just avoid interest and, take the conventional banking, avoid interest, it becomes Islamic banking. It's not. It's a complete paradigm. It has all the elements His Excellency mentioned, the risk sharing, the fairness, the real economic activity, and on, ethical investment, solidarity, social solidarity. And I was joking with my colleague, Dr. Harun, here towards the end, and telling him, people think of it as it's decaffeinated coffee. Remove the caffeine, and now you have the same thing. So I think it falls upon us all collectively to build awareness towards.
It's not a coffee, it's a karakti.
Karakti or a Coke and a Coke Light.
Thank you, Mr. Hakim. A few words from your side.
Yeah, thank you. I think my esteemed colleagues have said a lot about how, let's say, regional trade can be boosted. I can only say that we have to, let's say, have the willingness from, let's say, participating countries or neighboring countries to develop strategic partnership on trade finance. As long as we have the willingness, all the, let's say, barriers, whatever, they can be eliminated, We're talking about business awareness that can be also achieved with the support of the Islamic Development Group, because they provide a lot of technical assistance trainings, to, let's say, increase the, let's say, knowledge of bankers who can be then eventually educate businesses on the benefits, on how the, let's say, business can be, let's say, flourishing using Islamic type of or mode of financing. I think all these elements can help, as you said, maybe in 5 years' time, to boost the trade in the region, from my perspective.
Thank you. And Dr. Husseinov, also a few words from your side.
Thanks again. I would like also touch the challenges. I think and believe that Islamic financial tools not for just religious needs. That is for all SME clients, all corporate and commercial clients who work with Islamic principles. So it is important bank can just start for SME financing and trade financing with Islamic principles, not just on religious niche, all clients, all customers in country. And second one is all stakeholders will work together, government side, Ministry of Economy, Central Bank, Commercial Bank, and other stakeholder and other bodies to achievement and success will become closely. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we have heard today, perspective from different sides, from the government, development, finance institution, and also commercial banks. And if we conclude, we understand that the regional connectivity is a strong combination of trust, first of all, of supportive policies, of innovative financing solutions and institutional capacity, as well as effective management, effective partnership and management between our, governments, financial institutions, and it's a stronger partnership with, of course, with ISDB Group, with ITFC. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are done with our session. So I would like to thank our distinguished panelists for their valuable insights and contribution. And I think we have a lot of work ahead in order to make it more stronger. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these truly engaging and discussions. Please stand for a group photo, we kindly ask you. Thank you.